Hi, guys, and welcome back to Transits and Tactics. We have such an interesting transit now, and I am definitely feeling the full blown of it. Actually, interesting observation. Normally, when something affects me somewhat negatively, I can see that I don't have that activation in my chart. And it seems like I always feel the conditioning of it, especially today we're recording and it's still a first line day. First line is not a kind of day to go out into the world. It is a day where you want to be more introspective and, gather and research and do that kind of stuff. I find that in my life, the first line days are not always the most positive days, and so sometimes when there's a transit and I don't have that gate defined and this first day is really hitting me hard. Whereas today is a completely different day because we have the sun in gate 28 and it's the gate of the game player. And really the big theme here is your purpose or lack of it, right? In the duality. And literally today, it was all about focusing on the goal, define the goal, get the goal done. And I can feel like the bigger the goal, I'm writing the book, I keep mentioning this, but I was just like a well-oiled machine. And so much is coming out and it's all on purpose. And I feel like this activation right now is definitely driving me. But we have to be very careful with these energies because, they're all temporary energies that are affecting us as a collective, as individuals. And if we're not aware of them, then, things can sometimes pull us in a direction that is incorrect for us. And then the transit will pass, but we have to face the consequences, as we always say. So this could be a turbulent time because we are dealing with this question of to have purpose, or lack of purpose, which is a terrible, terrible dilemma to have, and where to look for it and how to, where is it? What is it altogether? So it's very easy to lose your way under this theme and under this energy. And this is why you need to focus on the clear destination. It's the first and straight away of the bat advice. Focus on clear objectives this week. This will help you. I literally started the day with writing my what I call my missions, and this is my to-do list for the day. And I can see that what's written gets done. If it's not written, it can be overwhelming. There's just too much going on. And so it's really, really good time to just tap into this. And I think that there's going to be, with this energy, there's going to be risks. The game player is a risk taker. So there's going to be situations where you might want to, break free and take some risks and, do something. Even, if the world is saying to you, don't do it. And that's the beauty, I think, of this of the magic of this theme of finding your purpose in something, that it might not be conventional and it might be walking into the uncertainty, and yet finding out that if you stick to it, even if you're taking a risk, if it's correct for you. So that's why following your strategy authority is just paramount in times like this. If you enter something correctly, even if it's uncertain, and even if you're walking through the fog, you know where you're going, you have this intention, you feel on purpose in this, stick to it because the magic happens on the other side. And while this gate drives us towards the challenges, we have the grounding energy with the gate 27, which is the gate of caring. And this is interesting. It brings a theme of focus on nurturing and supporting others as well, which it's a good time to kind of think and take responsibility for your contribution to the community, how you're caring for people, what are you supporting, and yourself as well, as part of this. And of course, if you have the gate 38 active in your chart, your whole channel of 28, 38, the channel of struggle, will be active this week. Now, if you have that channel or you just have the gate, don't be afraid of the name. This is one of those channels I find that they're kind of named in a very scary way. Everybody's like, oh, I don't want to, what do you mean? Do I struggle all my life or something? No, you don't. The channel of struggle is actually calling you for being discerning what struggles in your life are worth struggling for, right? So it's a kind of thing. You want to have purpose, you want to have meaning in your life, and you can pick your battles. It's a really, really good, it's good to understand. This week, I think we might be presented with some situations and challenges where you need to think about this. Is it worth struggling? And if you have the 38 in your design, it's more probably prominent theme for you as well. So, Anita, how are you feeling about this gate or this
Yeah,
transit?
I love this one. The sun is into Scorpio, so it's very deeply intuitive and the other side deeply toxic potentially, But with this energy, it's really showing up. What's worth doing is going to be scary. What's worth doing is going to be new and it's going to push you out of your comfort zone. And if you don't like that, you will never follow your purpose and you'll spend your life kind of trying to be superficially happy, but you'll feel hollow and empty inside. And this is what keeps people searching for their purpose. The fear in this gate is the fear of death. So I have some super ways. Every time I've moved, I've been pushed out of my comfort zone every time. And I've moved several times. I've lived in different countries, different states. But I had a couple of near-death experiences. One in a car, one I nearly choked to death. And the third thing that happened was a good friend of mine actually died way sooner than she needed to. And I remember sitting in the funeral and she had written a letter to her kids. And she literally said, and I get emotional when I say this, obviously, she said, okay, you guys, I have one thing that I will not compromise on, that I really expect you to fulfill. And that is live every moment to the fullest. Don't let fear hold you from embracing your life. So from then, I started learning how to embrace the fear. I committed to living my life to the full. And it takes persistence and it takes tenacity, I can tell you, because our mind goes bananas with intellectualizing why the fear is true, with a defined hedanashna. If what we are certain, and we're designed to be certain, but if what we're certain about isn't true, it can consistently lead us into or out of doing what we need to do. And the other side is also true when the open head and ajna, when I am trying to be certain about things that aren't true, that's when I'll meet most battle, right? So I committed to living my life to the full and it pushed me. The beauty about this is that the fear is really a physiological response in our body. So no matter how many people say, oh, love and fear are the same, they're not. There's specific physiological behavior and responses and behaviors that we exhibit when we're in fear and that are different to when we are in love. And what I loved about this is that usually what your purpose is the thing that you're most afraid of.
That is
And
so true.
so it's hilarious. I remember when I was doing my human design, and this is where human design really helped me. It took my purpose out of the fluffy, intangible into something that I'm truly designed to do, right? In a particular way. And when I was told first, I was like, oh, you'll be into prosperity and manifesting, and that is what you're here to do. Help people align their gifts with their ability to generate prosperity, right? And I was there going, oh, can't do that. Can't talk, I could not even think about it at the time. And I remember knowing my design, being able to laugh at that and go, oh, well, none of that is true. The truth about fear is if you're not in mortal danger, it's your body telling you something. And excitement or fear is excitement without the breath. So all those people who are saying, oh, you've got to listen to your fears. Yeah, you do, but you don't need to dramatize them and make them, you know, too much for you to bear to stop you from doing what you're doing. And the other side then is people are afraid of the silence, afraid of that, to be able to intuitively take on the challenges that you will face when you're living your purpose, right? They'll try to keep really busy and try to skate over the surface of everything. Their biggest fear is stopping, because if they stop, they're afraid that something terrible will happen, and it's not true at all, which I think is really fun.
It's actually true. I'm observing this too. There's a lot of people who find their purpose that is maybe in their work. And I don't mean work like, expressing themselves, but actually like working with others or feeling needed, feeling, on purpose with that. And then if that stops, where they are. And I always say, look for the purpose within. Everything else is a sort of channel, but the purpose has to be with you because anything can stop. Or your work can stop. Anything that you're doing can stop, and you're left with yourself. So it's always a search within. But I absolutely loved what you said about doing what scares you the most, because there's a big difference between something that is not your thing and your body goes in a danger mode. As a splenic person, I know, like, my hair in the back of my neck can go, the tension in my throat. I can sense where my body says, no, this is not for you. But there's another kind of fear, not a fear, but when you're afraid of something, when it's so exciting that that this is your thing. And it's ironic that just before we started recording this, I was actually late, guys, by an hour, because I was writing a chapter in my book, and I was talking exactly about this, how in 2016, it was 6 months before my online visibility journey started. I had a digital marketing agency, but I was always behind the scenes. And 6 months before that, I was talking to a client, and she said to me, and I said, I think there's more for me than this. I feel like there's more. And she said, so how does it look? How will it look for you? What will it look like? And I closed my eyes and I just saw myself talking in a live video. It was the weirdest thing because I was not doing anything of this ilk at all. So it was really weird because I saw that and I said that to her. I said, I think I have to use video and talk about this. And 6 months later, completely out of the blue, a live video challenge came into my life. And at the same time, there was someone, it was in a private group. There was someone in the private group that went live every morning at something like 6 a.m. to, share, motivate this lovely guy. And he had this onesie on with a cup of tea, sleepy. And I am not an early bird at all, but I was getting up at 5:45 for 3 weeks. And this guy was inspiring. And I was looking at him thinking, I sense you. You have something I have. I know I can do it, but how? But I'm so afraid. And then we had this live video challenge, and then, we started going live. I was like, okay, I like this. And the next challenge was to do something for 30 days. And guess what I did? Of course, I went live for 30 days.
Mhm.
And life threw a lot of challenges. So we're talking about here the turbulent energy. And this is actually the story now that I'm saying it. While I'm saying it, I'm realizing how it's demonstrating the energy of this, because on day 4 of this 30 days live video challenge that I challenged myself to, my late husband Les was diagnosed with lymphoma. And it was something that kept me, in a way, sane through that whole month. I kept going live. I think I skipped one day. Obviously, I was very, stressed out, but I made a decision to stick to it for myself and maybe for the others as well, because there might be people there I take action to get out of misery, but not everyone is like that. And I sensed it somehow at some level, and I continued going, and it just kept going and going. And then we got married after a very long engagement officially during that month as well. There's so many things that happened. And even though it was uncertainty, and I'm talking about getting married to someone you don't know whether he's going to be with you a week, a month, a year, right? That was the moment. And this uncertainty, but in spite of everything, all the evidence, this is, at this moment, is the goal. This is your purpose. This is something in it for you. And you keep going. And I think that this is exactly that what I felt. I'm getting splenic goosebumps. That means it's really, truly exactly the same energy this week. So keep going when you feel drawn to something, even if it's scary. Because you know what? Most of the time when we're out of our comfort zone, we're just unfamiliar. We don't know. Like live video, we just, not used to seeing yourself from the side. So, we get insecure. We get unfamiliar with this. But it's not something that creates a, real true danger to us. And through that, you can reach so much. You can achieve so much. If only you have a clear goal. What do you actually want? What legacy do you want to leave? Or maybe it's not about legacy at all. For me, it was, security for my financial security for my family on top of everything else, right?
Mhm.
So whatever drives you, it's your personal business. You don't have to justify it to anyone. But if you have it, go for it. And don't get distracted and pick your battles and take risks that feel aligned.
Absolutely. That's so true because a lot of us have the tendency to try to fix fears or try to fix challenges instead of intuitively navigate them. There's a very big difference. One is kind of assuming something is wrong that we're in danger. But the truth is that, fear means a lot of things. It's like having a car with all the bells and whistles, with all the alarms around it. So really, when your alarm goes off, 9 times out of 10, it's you're parking, you're going slow. There's no chance you're going to crash, right? But whereas if you were going 100 miles an hour and the alarm goes off, no, you really need to pay attention because you may well be in mortal danger. But the alarm is telling you, hang on, you're a bit close to that car. You just need to realign your energy back into your balance. So, as you say, reconnect with that purpose. Why am I actually here? Why am I doing this? And then, understand and embrace and make friends with those fears, because they are really good friends. They're bringing your attention to something that you just might need to pay attention to. So, but in a way that you, first of all, get back in balance, because otherwise the fear will stop you from doing the thing, right? And what's lovely as well about human design and gene keys, is that we all have our own triggers for fear. What would bother me mightn't bother Juliette at all, or vice versa, And it's a matter of learning what that is for you.
Mm.
So it's well worth your while learning your design. What are your predictable behaviors when you're triggered by fear, by this energy? Because when you know what that is, you won't buy into them in the same way, and you won't let them stop you. And what I noticed here was, we there's something about making friends with fear that allows, and knowing what our fear process is. Now we can work with it. Now we're not in that sense of catastrophizing. I don't know, is that the right word? All the time. I'm not sure. Is it catastrophe?
It
I
is
don't know.
now. It is
You
now. We're
see?
allowed to
Yeah,
make new
yeah, yeah,
words.
yeah. So we stop, you know, taking the feeling that we feel in our body as, oh my God, there's something awful wrong. Because I've actually heard people say, if you feel any discomfort, don't do it. And I'm going to there. But that's bullshit. Like, of course, it's good. Things are going to scare you, but only because you're not sure of what's at the other side. And this is an individual energy again. So a
Yes.
lot of the time with this energy, it's very much you're the trailblazer. It's 9 times out of 10, you're doing something new.
Mm.
And when you know what your fear is, you stop trying to fix things that aren't broken. And you can align beautifully with taking the next step. And knowing that you mightn't necessarily know what the outcome is going to be until you look back. You say, oh, I took that step because now I see why I took that step. So that's when the intuition can really override the fear in a way that you follow your purpose. And it's, what I find as well, I'm just going to say this because I think it's important. This is battle energy. This is having the tenacity to push through, right? Understanding you're not in mortal danger. When you know what your fear process is, you can address the newness in a way that it's coming from your intuition. You can deliberately reset your energy to make sure you're coming from intuition. So when you make the decision in your balanced space, even though you'll feel fear when you're taking the action, you'll know that you made that decision from your true yes. And so you can navigate. This is why our decision strategy is so important. We can navigate knowing that we're going to be afraid in the moment and, take it from there. Or one thing that I noticed with this energy was fear of public speaking. And understanding my fear, right, was that I'm going to be annihilated if I stand up in front of these people and speak my truth, because I was genuinely bringing a very new way of managing stress to corporate at the time. And I remember knowing that my energy, fear really builds up your energy to run, right, or to fight. So I went into the bathroom and I jumped around to release the excess energy, knowing what it was. Otherwise, I was getting into my car and going home, I'll be honest, right? And so I went back into the room and started talking, knowing that I had reconnected. with my purpose. I just shifted that extra energy. It's really
That's
interesting.
really, really cool, actually, this because it's true. When we're dealing with these fears, and especially with this specific sort of scenario, you're on purpose. You sense it. Your intuition says go for it, and it's really scary. But when first of all, when you know how fear shows, you just mentioned running or fighting. I freeze.
Mm.
My fear goes into paralysis, so knowing that gives you power because awareness is always power. You can then deal with it. You can then overcome it and not maybe completely eliminate it, but be able to step around it because that's what happens with fears. We can't win with the fears. They're always more powerful than us. But what we can do is we can learn how to, in a way, ignore that feeling, that physical feeling, and sooner or later you will ignore it so much that it means nothing. And this is what happens to us. Like, let's say I was talking about the video. I hated being like, I was cringing looking back at myself. I felt so uncomfortable on live videos. Now it's not a bother. You can wake me up, well, provided I have 10 minutes to put my makeup on. Then that's one non-negotiable. I'll go and I'll talk, and I can talk about anything you want. Just give me a topic and I'll talk because it's a habit. It's something that I no longer feel that fear and discomfort. It may be still somewhere there. So if I allow my mind to go there, it's going to, awaken a little bit. I can see that it's like starts moving, but
Yeah.
I just don't. I bring my mind back into my purpose, and this is
That
really
is-
cool.
That's so true because when you do it for the first time, can be terrifying. When you do the thing, and then you come out the other side and you kind of feel the excitement. Oh my God, I actually did that, and I'm still alive.
Yes, that's the thing. And not just a life, there's something new opened up, a new door, this is a
Exactly.
new era. So it's a really, really cool energy. And, just to leave you guys now, just a couple of practical things I mentioned, for example, do your to-do list, stay focused. Staying focused and grounding yourself is key. So think about the purpose doesn't have to be, your life's purpose. It's much bigger kind of conversation here, but it could be like, okay, so what is the purpose of today for you? One day at a time, because you never know where that click will happen when you see a bigger picture too. Make your lists, right? If you have a goal, like outline it, clarify. So really good time for that, getting clarity, even if it's not certainty, because we can't guarantee. The future hasn't happened. We don't know how it will unfold, but the clarity on what you want, your intention. And another thing you can do, you can visualize, which is also a really cool way to kind of get grounded with what you want to see. Visualize, open up, tune in, talk to the angels, to whatever is your process, right? That's what you do. And that is, I think, how you will be able to get through this, not through it in a bad way, but like everything, like every week and every transit, we're getting through this theme and we're learning something. And it's a beautiful, beautiful period. So, guys, good luck with this transit, and we will see you next time.